piece, a musical transition from old to new with a piece composed specifically for this year's Quick Troop. It's called The Ballyragget. There the lone drummer breaks away, drummer David McDowell marching to a position to the right of the escort. He joined the Irish Guards on St Patrick's Day 10 years ago this year. This piece called the Ballyragget. What is the significance of the name?
Well, Ballyragget's both a town in Kilkenny, but it's also the name of an Irish Guards tank which 80 years ago in the Battle of Normandy after D-Day rammed and disabled a German King Tiger tank, earning the driver a military medal and the commander a military cross. Remembered proudly today as part of our heritage, 80 years on from that critical battle.
Join the forces of the massed bands. The drummer plays 8 bars of a field signal called the drummer's call, recalling an age when communication on the battlefield relied upon the drums. And the orderly, Guardsman Sozi, marches forward to take the pace stick from Regimental Sergeant Major Peter Swain. He can then draw his sword, ready to protect the colour, and he's the only warrant officer on parade to draw a sword. The Sultan of the escort, Lieutenant Monty Badger, gives the order for the escort to take up their dressing in close order. So as you see, a tighter formation for the march forward to collect the colour. And the eyes front there, perfectly achieved without a word of command. The escort steps off to the rousing march of the British Grenadiers. march forward and they will halt 16 paces from the colour party, ready for the collection of the colour. The mass bands turn about to face the colour party, and the Senior Director of Music takes up a new position close to the front. Regimental Sergeant Major Peter Swain now prepares to take possession of the colour. Protecting it with his sword. And ready to hand it over safely. And he will now hand it to the ensign, Lieutenant Harry Winterbottom, who will troop the colour through the ranks. Watching on from the Major General's office, Prince Louis, Princess Charlotte, Prince George and Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales. The ensign and the regimental sergeant major resume their positions within the escort, and the escort for the colour, having been taken possession, has now become the escort to the colour.
Escort to the colour! Change off! Escort to the colour! Fire centre! Slow march!
And Chris, we're approaching the symbolic heart of today's ceremony.
Absolutely. We're now approaching the moment from which the ceremony takes its name. And having been in the escort myself back in 1996, I know this will be one of the points of the parade that will really matter most to everybody in the escort, to troop the colour in front of their fellow guardsmen.
And as the escort advances in slow time, the bands now play Escort to the Colour, the traditional stepping off music for this part of the parade for nearly 50 years. And if we watch carefully, This is called the spin wheel. The massed bands executing the military equivalent of a three-point turn and something of a move of mystery.
It's absolutely a move of mystery. It's part of the parade that's confusing to anybody who isn't a musician. Indeed, to anybody who hasn't served in the bands, because the only way to understand the spin wheel is actually to do it, because there's no written instruction, and how to do it is passed on by word of mouth, one generation to the next. One thing that's always the same, though, they always end up in the right place.
Music changes to the majestic Grenadiers' slow march as the escort prepares to troop colour through the ranks. Very significant moment for the ensign and Lieutenant Harry Winterbottom, and he spoke to us about being accorded the honour of trooping his regiment's colour.
Absolutely delighted to be ensign on this year's King's Birthday Parade. We've been preparing really hard for it, several months now of training. On the day itself, I'm going to be thinking about a lot, the symbolic and physical weight. We carry a lot of history, specifically in the colour. It's got all our battle honours, and in it also we can remember all those who've fallen. I think no doubt I'll be feeling the weight of that as I march the colour past His Majesty the King. My friends and family are really excited for me. They know that this is a job that I really love doing. I think they will also appreciate the irony that growing up I would always avoid the limelight, and here I am on perhaps the biggest military parade of the year.
Well, he's very much in the limelight today, even if he didn't want to be as a child.
And doing incredibly well. What a special moment for Harry Winterbottom as he troops the colour in front of his fellow guardsmen. An honour given to very few young officers. Commissioned in April 2023, he follows his uncle, Major Giles Bassett, of the Irish Guards. And on Monday I talked to his father at the presentation of the new colours at Windsor. And I know how proud his parents, Mark and Caroline, his brothers Sam and Jamie will be, all watching him from the stands this morning.
And he's very conscious of everything the colour represents, and indeed its history. The colours were last carried into battle in 1881, but nearly 150 years later, still hugely significant.
Very significant. Colours were the rallying point in the confusion battle, and the act of showing or trooping the colour was to show each man what their colour looked like. The tradition's continued ever since, and the colour has developed into the hugely respected symbol it is today. It's also an enduring link to the King, as our Colonel-in-Chief, who presents our colours personally, as he did on Monday at Windsor Castle.
The sun is now breaking through the clouds onto this magnificent scene. You can see medals there glinting in the sunlight, and I think Prince Louis enjoying it and rather fascinated. Don't break that.
Yeah. Okay.
Escort to the colour, win long. Left turn. Escort to the colour. Change.
command given by the field officer for the officers to take post. The colour will move to the rear of the escort.
Numbers 1 to 5 guard will retire. About turn. Turn to halt. Right ball. Right turn.
The corps of drums now perform The Girl I Left Behind Me.
Numbers 1 to 5 guard will advance. About turn. Number 6 guard, close order. Man. Move to the right extreme. 40. Right. Guard will march past in slow and quick time. By the left. Man.
Now that the colour has been trooped through the ranks, the guards are forming up for the march past, and all 6 guards will march past the king in slow and quick time. And the mass band's currently playing a new neutral slow march, written especially for this year's parade by Sergeant Adam Barras. It's called Earl Alexander of Tunis, so Chris, tell me about the man behind the title.
Well, the march is a tribute to the most famous and successful Irish Guardsman in our history. Harold Alexander was commissioned into the regiment in 1911. He fought through both the First and Second World Wars, was decorated for bravery several times, and finished his service as a field marshal. He was the Irish Guards colonel between 1946 and his death in 1969. A hugely respected figure. It's great to remember him on parade today with this march.
And this is the first time that the Irish Guards have trooped their colour in front of a king in more than 70 years. And it's number 9 Company Irish Guards who are providing the escort and who will lead the foot guards past His Majesty the King. And they're a relatively new addition to the Irish Guards.
They are. They've formed very recently. For over 30 years, the Grenadier, Coldstream and Scots Guards had their own public duties companies. In 2022, the Irish Guards joined their number by forming their own company, number 9 Company. But although the company may be new, there's absolutely no sign of that showing through, stepping off extremely smartly in slow time.